Hello and welcome to We All Dey Inside Season 3, Episode 2. My name is Rosalinda Nakai Ajese. You can call me Nakai. And this is an HRE series powered by Amnesty International Ghana, where we discuss arising human rights issues and how to advocate and find solutions from our own perspectives. Today, I have here with me 3 guests. I wouldn't like to talk much, so I would hand over to them to give us a brief introduction, and I'll start from my extreme right, which is Vanessa. Hi, Vanessa.
Hi, Na.
You're welcome. Kindly give us a
much.
brief introduction of yourself.
My name is Vanessa Edutumbuating. I am a journalist. Right. Briefly.
Thank you. Thank you, Vanessa. Okay, so Louis.
Hi.
Hi. Yes. So briefly, kindly give us an introduction of yourself.
All right. So I'm Louis. I'm from Dakota side. I'm a digital rights champion with Amnesty International, a global youth collective member, and a program assistant at Amnesty International Ghana.
Thank you very much, Louis.
Yeah. My name is Martin Amenikwe Delali. I'm also a digital rights advocate and also a member of Young Youth Advocates Ghana.
Thank you very much. I see that we have diverse backgrounds here, and that is exactly what we need for today's episode. Today, we explore a question that affects all of us in this digital age. Are we truly free online? From surveillance and censorship to online harassment and digital repression, the internet has become more than a social space. It is now a battleground for freedom of expression, privacy, and civic participation. And in today's episode titled Watched, Silenced, Controlled, Digital Rights Surveillance and the Battle for Online Freedoms, we would unpack how technology can both empower and endanger our rights, and why safeguarding digital freedoms has become one of the defining human rights issues of our time. So we'll delve right into the matter without wasting much time. So as I have already stated, currently our digital space has rapidly grown to become a space where we are all fighting for our rights, not just trying to exist. So many things are happening without people's knowledge and all that. And in that, we find that there are activities, there are things that people in power are doing which are infringing upon our rights without our knowledge. So I'll move straight to the first question, and I'll direct it to Vanessa. How would you describe the current state of digital rights and online freedoms in Ghana and across the African continent?
No, thank you. Basically, digital rights is just the freedom you have when using digital platforms. And it's important to note that the digital space has given voices to a lot of people. It has actually empowered people to voice, to hold governments accountable, to bring their plight to, as it were, to the world. I mean, now with the digital platforms, you talk about, it can be in your community, no one knows about a certain community, but then just with the internet, they bring about their issues, whatever is happening, and everyone knows that, oh yes, there's something like this going on somewhere like that. It's important to know that as a journalist, I feel so happy and glad when we are talking about digital platforms, because those are one of the tools that I use to speak, make issues known and whatnot. Talking about rights, digital platforms and joy, I think it's also important to note that there are surveillance from, as it were, security services. Whatever we say online, it's monitored. And you are not entirely free to say what you want, because we have issues of misinformation and disinformation. Disinformation, whilst we are free to say what we want, we are not also free from the consequences. So it's important to note that whatever we say, we are being monitored. I think recently there is this trending thing going on X, where someone said something about 10 or 11 years ago, and it's surfaced online. It's about the person promoting rape, stuff like that. The internet does not forget. And so whilst it's important that we amplify our voices through the digital platforms and we enjoy some rights, it's also important to know that we are being monitored, and whatever we say or do, we are not free from the consequences, basically.
Thank you very much for stating that. I mean, as you accurately said, we are being monitored.
Yes.
Whether and being not being aware of it is not an excuse.
It's not an excuse.
But I would like to move to Lois. So she clearly stated that there are surveillances and we are being monitored whether we like it or not. What surveillance technologies are being used by governments, not or perhaps people in power, let me put it that way, and how are they impacting citizens' rights to privacy?
Okay, thank you for that question. And to start, I'll start with the quotes that I find, funny but not so funny. That someone said that I can guarantee you freedom of speech, but I cannot guarantee you freedom after speech. So, you're allowed to say what you want,
Yeah.
but what happens after, sometimes it varies. And looking at software, I think in 2016, the government of Ghana purchased the Pegasus spyware software, which is basically like a surveillance tool to kind of monitor communications.
Right.
And sometimes some of these surveillance is understandable, it's ethical in the sense that there's terrorist attacks, there are people infiltrating their country, so you have to always be on your guard as a country to kind of know what communications are going on, and the event of people planning coup, people trying to attack your country. But then in our setting, where politics is like a major part of the Ghanaian scene, and having over 75% of Ghanaians online or on the internet, it kind of means that sometimes these contexts may cross each other, right? Which means that instead of using the software to spy on terrorist attack, can you to spy on maybe a particular journalist that you don't like, or
Right.
a particular media station that is saying something that you don't really join or really understand or agree with. So I think it's a mixed nuance. You can't really say that it's bad for government to entirely survey, but at the same time too, it's more about application and modalities and moderation, how we are using it and how it's being used. So I think yes, there are of course softwares for surveillance, but it all comes down to the nitty-gritties of how they are used and who they are being used on.
Thank you very much for making that clear. Let me come to Martins. Recently there have been issues online about, I don't want to mention names, but there was a case where someone was abusing women, and by dragging them without taking videos and all that without their consent, and later, the person was using it as a source of generating income illegally, which we all know because it's without their consent. This issue has resurfaced. Someone identified that their rights was being abused. In that case, what would you say? This time around, it's not the government. It is the individual. It is a citizen. It is someone of our own level, caliber, who is doing that. What would you say the person is doing to the other people, and how is it impacting, what is it communicating to other people? If a common floor member can do this, how about people who have the power and the instruments or the mechanisms to observe or monitor you without your opinions?
I think first of all, we need to, as a country or as individuals, there should be a system where which people can make complaints about this thing, and also people who are also abusing people with this kinds of means need to be arrested. They need to be sent to the law, and also they need to be questioned on why they are also behaving or abusing people in that way. Because at the end of the day, this person is using this medium to make money for themselves. And the other hand, the person is going to go through a whole lot of stuff. We are going to talk about mental health. We also talk about the person might even shy away of coming to the public as well. Because I mean, when I get to see your pictures or maybe your videos online, I'm not sure, I mean, I'll be able to have the confidence to walk into the street or maybe to even talk to people about something that I'm trying to do on the internet. Definitely, I'm going to be attacked on the internet. So mental health, I mean, plays a really vital role over here, because people need to be checked on that. Because at the end of the day, if I am being I'm being called by names, I'm being questioned online, and people see my pictures or something like that on the internet, I'm sure this person is going to be like, okay, what is he even talking about? Because at the end of the day, um, there's going to be a tag on you. You didn't seek my consent first, and for you to be able to just go all out and put my information online, and that means people might think I'm aware, but maybe I'm not aware. There should be, I did mention a way by which people should also find means to report this information. I think government and also telcos need to come together and also make accessible process or ways by which people will be able to make this complaint and all that. Because a lot of people don't know how to even go about it.
Yeah.
They don't even know who to even go to talk to, because when you're going to talk to someone about it, first there's going to be judgment, there's going to be stigma, because I mean, for all you know, this person did drug. I mean, we had issues about drug and all of that. So this person didn't do with their consent. So they should lay down places where people can go and report and give, I mean, comment about that. Because at the end of the day, if you don't do that, then I think we are not going anywhere as a country or as an individual.
Absolutely. Louis, do you have something to add on to him?
I mean, on the issue of, abuses coming to light and people reporting about them, I think it's important that we note that it's only a very minor percentage of abuses that come online actually. So what we see online is a very, very small picture of the actual big picture in the world. And when you go to the police statistics, it says that when rape or issues of sexual abuse happen amongst family members or related people, the percentage that reports is less than 10. So it means the majority of these things are settled on home grounds or negotiated somewhere. Someone has to live with the consequences. So even with the ones that come on the internet, we are all witness to the fact that most of the time it not really lead to any solution. It's just all for the engagement and likes, and at the end of the day, it doesn't really go anywhere. But I think that the fundamental solution would be to either send the education across that it's not okay to take videos of people without consent. It should not be on, oh, you have taken the video, so let's beat you or let's arrest you or let's drag you. If the person understands that it's not okay, it will not happen in the first place. But if we get to understand that, oh, if I'm able to leak a video, I'll be popular. People will talk about me, I'll get more engagement. Then why don't I do it, and then people will talk about me, but at the end of the day, it won't go anywhere. We've seen issues on TikTok where people leak videos intentionally, and come on to me to say that, oh, if this is what's going to make people talk about me, then I'm going to expect more from me, I'm going to leak more videos.
Yeah.
So I don't think the issue is focused on what we should do to the people. Of course, the remedies should be part for the survivors, but I think the education should go down that it's not okay to do certain things, because at the end of the day, if everybody understands that certain things are just not right to be done, then we can tackle the issue from the roots itself. Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much for adding on. Vanessa, I would like to come to you again. You started the conversation about surveillances and all. Do you have any particular surveillance technologies that you think people in power are using, and how is it impacting citizens?
Well, I know that internet, digital platforms, they are now political. And politicians, governments, they all know that the youth or people rely heavily on these platforms to hold them accountable. And so sometimes for them to, distort narratives, like the youth use the platform for journalism, activism, like I've mentioned, to promote even protests. For instance, take the last protest, Ngalamse protest.
Yeah.
A lot of mobilization was done on the internet. And so the politician knows that people rely heavily on technological platforms to mobilize these things. And so for them, and they know that narratives can be changed, or people promote narratives through the internet. So for them to distort some of these things, they can send trolls. They can try to create fake accounts targeted at someone, probably someone who is so loud. A journalist can be so loud, an activist can be so loud on one issue. Like it can be an issue of galamsey, it can be an issue of rape, it can be an issue of economic mismanagement, stuff like that. I mean, the politician can send people after that person can be targeted, because they know that once they try to distort the person's narrative, or once they try to bring bots, they are in quote foot soldiers to distort such narrative, they know that it won't go anywhere really. So they know that yes, the technological platforms are used to promote an agenda, and so they will also come up with their propaganda against those that are holding them accountable. So yes, the politician or the government is not clueless about the fact that the youth rely heavily on such things to voice. Let's take Fees Must Fall, South Africa, NSAS, Nigeria, and like I mentioned, Fix the Country. We all know, in fact, how will you hear about NSAS if not through the internet? Or Fees Must Fall if not through the internet? I mean, the xenophobic attack going on in South Africa, it's through the internet. I mean, we are not in South Africa, but we know through the internet. So politicians may try to, or people who know that we are voicing displeasures, holding them accountable, stuff like this. They know that these are the platforms that we are using to hold them accountable. Sometimes they can even intimidate you. They can use laws. I'll make an example to there was this issue where a politician was arrested. He was invited. I understand he was sent a message that he's needed at the police headquarters, but he took it as one of those things. I mean, anyone can send you a message and say, aha. And so he ignored it, but he was subsequently picked up. And, you know, I understand, if that is true, I understand that he was picked up because he posted a picture of the president against a doomsday background and say he's responsible. I mean, I'm not sure the president's mind. Look, as a journalist, I can say that if there is doomsday, I can say that the president's government, like the president government. Of course, if I want to say something, it's the president I'm going to. If something is not going on well in a sector, it is the president I'm going to mention.
Absolutely.
Because this is his government.
Yeah.
So if someone says, there is doomsday and the president is responsible for that, he is the president of the country. I'm not sure the president mind that his name is being mentioned as the one in quotes responsible for doomsday, and so he should fix it. But if people are picked up because of sad things, like your voice, you say something and you feel like, oh, what this person said doesn't go well with me, that's intimidation. They use ways to gag people from talking. And you see, sometimes they also use laws. They can say that they have sneaky look until you are in trouble.
Yeah.
You don't know that the laws work. They have sneaky ways, in quotes, sneaky ways of making it look like you are doing something wrong, when in actuality you are only holding government accountable. And so back to the question, it's important that we know our rights when we are using these digital platforms. It's very, very important. One time I went for a press conference at the police headquarters, and the issue has been that someone was arrested for posting a fake news online, and the person said, oh, it's just for content. You are not excused from that. Posting something for content doesn't mean that you should misinform or disinform. And so we have to know that there are sneaky ways that government, politician, whoever it is, can use to intimidate, gag, or even come at you. You know, online, especially like I'm on X a lot, when you post something about government and in quotes it's something positive the government have done, they will say, where your party JC. And they feel like when they say where your party JC, it will be a way of intimidating you to, as it were, not say what it is that you want to say. It's like a form of bullying, like cyberbullying. Sometimes they do that. You see, accounts coming at you, tweeting, sometimes they even threaten you, and then you become, if you're not that kind, if you're not that kind of a strong person, you'll be like, okay, let me just call in my shell.
Right.
And so there are different ways that these things happen, and so it's important that we take note of them. And as for spying, the surveillance is high. They are always going to like, they're always going to spy on you. They're always going to monitor what you see. In fact, they're going to be monitored. Sometimes, like he said, if they feel they don't like this journalist, they're going to watch you. They're going to monitor you closely. Whatever you say, they want to see if it's in our favor, it's not in our favor, and how we can deal with you. So things like this, I think.
Thank you very much. So the government actually leverages on what they realize that is going on, which is our use of the digital platforms, and then find ways and means to use them against us. So that tells us as citizens that we need to be very
extra careful,
vigilant. And thank you for the point on how that they use laws to sort of intimidate us. And that brings us to our next question, that what ways are cybercrime and data protection laws being used to restrict legitimate online speech and civic participation, like you rightly mentioned? So I'll direct that to Lewis.
Okay, thank you for the question. I think so far we're having a great discussion. When you talk about how the laws are being used to stifle speech, it's a double-faced thing. First of all, we have the laws. If you talk about having the laws, then about 80% of all African countries have cybercrime laws. It all comes down to implementation. And implementation is two things, right? How it's implemented and whether it's implemented at all. So we have the thing of, when it gets to certain aspects, it is heavily enforced. There's certain aspects, it is ignored. So we have the laws. Even the amended Cybercrime Act 2020, it has some clauses inside that, are quite threatening to digital freedoms. I think there's a portion that gives like a 10-year sentence for posting certain things on certain topics, But the issue is not with what is written in the law. The issue is, where is it applied? To whom is it applied? When is it applied? Because we are in the same country, and you can count times where someone has two people do the same thing, and one person will take that protest, and the other person is ignored. So the issue is not about whether you have the laws or not. Now, when you check the Freedom on the Net Index, it's an index that shows how free countries are in terms of internet space. Ghana has a score of 64/100.
Right.
We used to have 65/100, by 64 now, which means that that's kind of big. But 64 means that our internet is kind of free, but of course not totally free. So what the question is that it's not about the laws being there. It's about when they are enforced and who they are enforced on. So I think that's what we should be looking at, because obviously you can clearly see, even if as a person who is not political or journalist or activist, you can see that why is that some people are being called to the police station every week, that some people are posting the same things, and no one is minding. So it's an implementation issue and not an issue on the mere existence of the laws.
Right. It's an implementation issue and who it is being applied to at what time. Martins, what do you think about that as well? How are the laws, cybercrime and data protection laws, being used as a tool to silence people or intimidate citizens in Ghana?
So for me, I think the law is the data protection law. It's a really a good thing. I mean, it's over there to protect us and also make us feel comfortable as citizens of a country. But on the other hand, this law are also kind of bending our neck. Yeah, kind of infringing on our rights. Because these days, a lot of people are even scared to come online to make some pronouncements and other stuff. You can't even question a minister or a politician if they are not doing something right. Or maybe sometimes they are doing their work, but they shift their focus onto something else. So you are just calling upon them to just, alert them on what they are supposed to do. And it becomes like a challenge to you. Recently, we did have one influencer who came online to, call on the government about the recent DUSO thing. And we heard a whole lot of stuff. Someone was trying to, bully him, tell him all sort of stuff, threatening him and all that. These are some of the things that, come in play when it comes to people trying to stand up for their rights. And also, people are also kind of scared as well to also give out vital opinions about certain things in the country. So I think the laws are supposed to be in a way that will protect the people, not to harm them. People need to study the law also as well, because the law is made in a way that is vague, it's broad. A lot of people don't really understand the law. So it will be important that we have conversations around the law, especially collaboration with TV stations, radio station, and also we need to break it down in a way that people would understand, because not everyone speaks English. We have people living in the northern region. We have people living in Ashanti region who have never been to school before, but they are doing so well for themselves. But they just don't understand some of the big grammars and the English that we talk about a lot. So that's something I would like to add into it.
Right. It is very important that we explain or bring it down, we break down the laws of the country to the citizens, and collaborations are very important and can assist in doing that. Thank you very much for adding that contribution. I would move to Vanessa once again. You know, earlier in your submission, you spoke about how that government they use false information, that is information disorder, to distort, to create agenda, and also sort of create a space that is safer for them and infringe and intimidate citizens. What role, now the question is, what role do misinformation and disinformation play in shaping public narratives, and how are state actors involved in amplifying false information?
Well, it's important to know what misinformation and disinformation is. Misinformation basically is you putting something out there, you do not intend to cause harm, but it's still not accurate. But disinformation is knowing that the statement or the issue is false, and you're putting it out there to, as it were, yeah, how do I put it? To discredit someone. Disinformation, you are aware of what you are aware that what you're putting out there is not accurate, and you just putting it out there to create an agenda. Like I mentioned earlier, people they thrive on these things to create a very good environment for themselves. For example, I'll keep using government and the politician, because if a politician does something and they know that if this comes to light, people are going to talk about it, it's going to create a very bad image for themselves. And then it comes to light, they try to get people to circumvent the real issues. For instance, they try to get people to divert attention from what the real issues are. If we create disinformation and misinformation to distort facts, distort narratives, and to, as it were, not hold people accountable, we are creating a space not safe for even the youth. I would say that if I'm a journalist and I am targeting a politician, trying to, how do I put it? If I'm targeting a politician, trying to create a false narrative about them, or try to put them in a bad light because I do not like them, that is disinformation. With misinformation, it is me saying that I don't know what they are doing, but I'm putting an information out there, even though I do not have the facts. And then most times in misinformation, it's wrong. The facts are wrong. Governments also encourage these things because they know that politicians, government, they thrive on propaganda.
Yeah.
narratives, they thrive on false narratives, especially government and opposition. The oppositions try to create an agenda towards the government. And then the government, on the other hand, also try to, counter that propaganda. And so they also come up with more propaganda. So it's like both sides are trying to, as it were, at in some form of propaganda competition among themselves. At the end of the day, the real issues that are at hand, citizens get it before the information gets to them, it's distorted. And so I believe that politicians encourage these things. Governments also encourage these things because this is what they thrive on. This is what, in quotes, make them look good to their constituents, the citizens. They feel that, yes, if we are thriving on propaganda, sometimes they do not get to know what the real issues are. And so thriving on propaganda gives them that kind of good image. They want to look good before their people. And so I'm talking about propaganda, ways that governments also encourage these things. It's there. They are supporters. They are, in quote, foot soldiers. They put narratives out there which are not true, or sometimes they even try to protect their government when they do something that is untoward or which is not supposed to be. Holding them accountable. They feel like, if an issue come up and you talk about it, you are, in quotes, bashing their government. And they feel like this narrative it's not good. It doesn't look good on my government, or it doesn't look good on this minister, or it doesn't look good on this politician. They try to throw in different narratives, try to brainwash other people, try to put in lies that will, as it were, distort what the real facts are. So I think these things, misinformation, disinformation, is being encouraged by politicians mostly, and we also sometimes override on it. We feel like following the propaganda narrative or propaganda agenda, it's good. And so we also jump on it, try to create a distorted information. We misinform, we disinform to create our own to create a perception or to protect our, in quote, people. And we do not want them to, we are like shielding them from what the real things are. And this is very damaging because it's important that citizens know what it is that is happening, what it is that government is doing, or what it is that the opposition is doing, or what it is that someone is doing to help them. So if we try to change the narrative about these things, we are denying someone somewhere the real truth. Where I stay, there is this woman that constantly watches TikTok, and anytime I come home, she will ask me, I've seen this thing on TikTok. Is it true? In fact, 90% of the times, it's not even true. It's not. So I told her that she shouldn't be asking me anything about TikTok again, because I just got tired of explaining that this is not true, this is not this is not that. Anytime you come home, I've seen that they said the president is dead, and the way they are crying on the internet. I said, which president? He is not dead. And then I'll come back and say, they said, yeah, this thing someone has done that. No, that is. So you see, they try to distort the facts. Things like this, politicians thrive on it. You see them do proper agenda. They do like a propaganda, and you see, if you don't know what the issues are, you hear those things, you'll be like, really, this is so bad. If I'm like in quotes, a lay person, and someone comes to tell me that this is what the president or this is what somebody has done, which is not true, I take it hook, line and sinker, because so I feel that the person telling me, or where I heard it from, is from a trusted source, and without hearing this, in fact, without even the available tools to know what the real information or the real facts are, I believe it. And so these are agendas people use to protect their people, to distort facts, and try to create a different narrative from what the real issues are, and it's very dangerous.
Thank you very much, Vanessa. The government thrives on propaganda and misinformation, malinformation, disinformation, that is information disorder, to create a space where they are able to amplify their agenda and what they seek to promote and win more citizens in direction
Right.
of their political agenda. So we'd like to take a quick break. This is still We All Day Inside Season 3, Episode 2. And today we're talking about watched, silenced, control, digital rights surveillance, and the battle for online freedoms. We will be back with more insights. Do stay tuned.
For the first time in history, a bill put before Parliament in the year 2024 could be reintroduced and passed into law to criminalize abuses linked to these accusations. This is a quest to defend human dignity for all, especially those who have been accused, abused, and neglected. This human rights education series tells the stories of survivors of witchcraft accusations living in camps across the north and northeast regions of Ghana. Join Amnesty International's Branded for Life campaign in Ghana to help end human rights abuses and violations due to witchcraft accusations.
Hi, welcome back to We All Day Inside Season 3. If you just joined, we're talking about watched, silenced, controlled, digital rights surveillance, and the battle for online freedoms. And I have here with me Martins, Lewis, and Vanessa, who have been so far very helpful in sharing their insights, and we are going to be delving deeper into the conversations. This is an HRE series, once again, powered by Amnesty International Ghana, where we talk about human rights issues that are rising in Ghana and beyond, and how we can propose solutions to them. So we'll go straight into the questions once again, and I'll start from Lewis. Before we went on the break, we spoke about how that the government leverages on propaganda, disinformation, and data protection law to silence people, to intimidate citizens, and also infringe upon their rights. Now we're going to be talking about the activities that we as citizens do. So now we are coming back to what we as citizens do that is one way or the other infringing upon other citizens' rights, and such of these activities include digital attacks, that is doxing, trolling, and coordinated harassments, and how that they are being used not just by people in power, but then citizens are using it to infringe upon colleague citizens' rights. How are these things being coordinated?
All right, thank you very much. And before I begin to answer, I'll make a distinctive point, which is to say that digital rights is never separate from human rights. And for majority of youth in Ghana, digital life is now real life, or equal to real life in totality. And like I said before, 1 in 3 of every Ghanaian has access to the internet, or in some way someone has come into contact with social media, with about 10.8 million Ghanaians on Facebook as well. So it means that when you look at the rise of social media in Ghana in the past years, you talk about monetization. With the introduction of monetization, everybody wants to make money off the internet. Now we are a number of youth activists or youth that do not work. They do not work for any company. They work on the internet, right? They just wake up, make posts, get engagements, and they expect their payouts 2 weeks. Of course, you all heard about some of the uproar that came up when the payouts were delayed and stuff like that. So obviously, you know that that's now like an economical empowerment sort of for young people in the country. So I want to establish that fact first. So now we talk about some of the things that people do that are bad. Now I made the first preamble to kind of give you an idea that because now people are driven by engagement and they need to get more likes, to get more money, they'll do anything. That's the first point. Because now I think if monetization is stripped off X, Facebook, Instagram, you see way less posts on the internet, you see way less dragging, you see way less comments. Because then the question is, what do I gain from doing it? But if I know that I'm trolling you, and by trolling you, I'll get some engagement that would increase my payouts next 2 weeks, then I'll do it. So when you talk about doxing, you talk about coordinated trolling attacks and all of that. It's rooted in the fact that there's financial benefits that comes with these apps. So that's the fundamental thing I want to raise. Now, secondly, we talk about governments trying to stifle speech but you do it with the same people that are in the country. Now we have things like retweet groups. We have things like food soldiers. We have people that are paid 500 cedis, 600 cedis to kind of repost certain posts on the internet, to say certain things. So their job is to repost.
Yeah.
When the message is typed in the WhatsApp group, everybody will copy and paste on their X.
Even when they don't know what it's
They
about.
don't need to understand. We've had protests in Ghana, people are holding placards. What is on the placard? Say, they say we should come. Say, yes, we are protesting. But they can't read what it is. So if in real life it's possible, then on X and other social media it's very possible. So then again, you'd be wrong to kind of direct the attacks to the people, directly to say that it's you that are doing it. Maybe 500 citizens, you just saw the police say, okay, let's check this at 6 p.m. It's used for good things as well, to kind of create a storm or talk about something good. But on the other side, let's check at 6 p.m. We'll pay 500 cedis. Copy paste, doesn't understand. Whatever damage that is doing, the person, it's not even, if you arrest the person asking, so what, you know what this thing means? So I was asked to share because my money will come at the end of the month. But then notwithstanding, there are people who intentionally do such attacks, dox people, drag people. It doesn't stop the fact that we should speak against people doing that. But I'm trying to drive us to the main point that it's the financial benefit that is driving all these things. Because for sure, if you compare Twitter in 2018, and X in 2026, there's a vast difference in number of users, number of active users, number of posts per day. Now there's money. So all I need is to get people to follow me, get some following, and then keep engaging posts every day, and I can make some money. So I think the financial benefit has been a major factor to the increment in these cases. But that notwithstanding, I think even though it affects people, the education should go down, and then I think also comes back to the same old unemployment issue. Because if people have jobs that they are doing, people are economically okay, then they wouldn't need to talk bad on someone or share some information just to get traction and money. So I think I'll end my submission.
Right. Thank you very much, Lewis. Mainly monetization is one of the reasons why people tend to these abuses or these activities digitally. Let me come to Martins. Martins, what are your thoughts about these activities that people tend to? Lewis has just mentioned monetization. What do you think about the whole situation, about people using online to, for their own benefit, distorted information and all that?
Okay, so I believe a lot of people use the online monetization or other stuff to just out of their own selfish needs or something like that. I'm going to use a scenario to talk about it. About the doxing issue, I personally work in the space of HIV, and I have had some complaints and other stuff of a young lady who happens to defend a friend. Okay, so in the course of defending a friend boyfriend, I don't know how the guy got to know about the lady's status. Apparently the lady is also part of the marginalized group, and she happens to go online to talk about the lady's status and all that. And the lady was so scared to even report about it, okay, because one, there isn't any anonymous process for her to even go through to report. And she also thought about how even the reporting system will even lag in terms of reporting. She doesn't have anywhere to go. Even if she has somewhere to go, she was even scared that people will get to know about her. Thirdly, she was even thinking about how long this thing is going to take about. Because if you are going to go through the law process or maybe the court process, you have to go through a whole lot of investigation and other stuff for issues like this to be resolved. So she came out and she's like, okay, I said I wanted to do this, but I'm no longer interested. So you can tell that she was scared. She didn't have anyone to go to. And the only place she thought she can go to, she thinks it's a very slow-paced space that, it will take a very long time. And truly, it's going to take a very long time. So I think moving forward, the government should come together with other partners and also other civil society to also find a very fast pace of which these things can be pushed fast so that people would also liberate themselves from a whole lot of thoughts and other stuff that will bring, at the end of the day, another issues to them.
Right. Thank you very much, Martins. I'll move to Vanessa. she has the journalism background. I want to ask that, how are these digital attacks used to silence people who, on a normal basis would express themselves, question things that are happening and all that? How are these attacks used to silence them?
Let me start with this. I joined X, I think, in 2022, if I'm right. And before X, my life was just in fact, I was not a fan of social media because I didn't see the need, in quotes, I didn't see the need why I should be on social media. But in 2022, when I joined X, I saw a different world. I was like, so I can actually say what I want to say, speak my mind, hold people accountable here, and I'm fine. So I thought it's one of those things that once you are doing what you're supposed to do, you're not offending anyone, then you are okay, you are right. But it wasn't like that. In fact, it turned out not to be like that. And I realized that once you say something about someone and their supporters don't like it, it's over for you. And I was glad that during those times when I was holding people accountable, I had people come to encourage me because it wasn't easy. Hey, you see people come to your DM and insult you black and blue, and you feel like, oh no, then if that is how this thing is, then I'm taking a step back. I'm no longer interested in it. Always, anytime I come to the newsroom, you see my colleagues, hey, Vanessa, today you were trending. They said you talked about this and you have done that. So they were like, hey, you're not scared at all. Or no, it's not like I am not scared. I feel that if I don't say it, who will? I mean, if I'm intimidated by you, and you intimidate other people who will hold you accountable. And if you don't come out to voice, I mean, if you don't speak for people, who will? If I'm always saying that, okay, not me, then who? If not you, then who? So these things happen, trolling, people sharing your pictures and trying to make it look like you're a very horrible person. Once you talk about their favorite people, I think I've passed that stage where I'll cry, I'll read messages. In fact, sometimes I'll read messages about me, unless I'm like, it's not me. Don't I know myself? It's me. And how? When did this want to happen? And those are ways people use to gag you, to shut you up. And it happens. In fact, now we've seen the trolling, people calling you names. They make you... They take a picture of you and make a caricature of it, and then they are just trying to gag. And so these things, they are there. And if you are, I think for the attacks, it's expected because once you've made your mind not to keep quiet, the attacks will keep coming. And so we've moved from that stage, and we'll keep talking. As for talking, there.
But have you been in a place where, because of those comments and DMs that came to you, you felt like you can't express yourself anymore?
Oh yes, a lot of times. In fact, sometimes I remember going for an assignment, and on the assignment, people were making comments like, what is she doing here? In fact, it's directed at me. What is she doing here? You just spoke about our party. What are you doing here? We've invited you. And you sometimes, of course, when you're in those spaces, you try to be careful. And you can't also say, because I'm holding you accountable, I'm not supposed to be at your gathering. I'm looking for my news. And so I will be there. In fact, there are times that you feel like you need to tone down because you do not want. In fact, some of the attacks, it becomes so extreme. People are in quotes. People are crazy. In quotes, people like, excuse my language. People are really crazy. You don't know what people can do. People are really, really crazy. You don't know. And so when they threaten you, you will see, we will also come to power. We will do this and this and that. Sometimes you are just careful.
Yes, but it limits you a lot. And
it does. It does limit. Yes, you try to sometimes just try to overlook some of these things. But I mean, you can't say you want to be quiet totally. Sometimes you still talk.
Right. Let's come back to the laws that protect us, that are supposed or that are meant to protect us. I'm going to direct this question to Lewis. Do you think that based on parents or caretakers in Ghana, are these laws serving the purposes that they are intended to, or they have rather tend to have a more of a negative impact rather than serving the purposes and protecting us as it's supposed to?
Okay, thank you for the question. I think for the most part, the laws are doing their job just as they are supposed to. You remember that data protection and cybercrime units, they've had a number of cases, actually 52% increase in cases from 2025 to now, cybercrime issues. But when you go to their response teams and the things they are doing, the laws, when applied properly, are working. You understand? The laws are doing their job for the most part, because we've had issues where people have been arrested, for sharing nude videos of people or for engaging in illicit, doxing, sharing people's information. When you're an ex, you've seen that recently there's even been some arrests of people using hate speech and all. So clearly you can say that the law is working. But like I said before, when does it work? Where does it work? And on whom does it work? You understand? So the narrative has always been to say if you don't really have any feet on the ground, I say this hypothetically, if you don't have any feet on the ground, you can easily be blown away by the wind. That's how I like to put it.
But Lewis, would you say that the laws that are existing, would you say they are enough, they are adequate? Since you just stated that they are serving the purposes as they should, do you think they are adequate?
Yes, so the ones we have are not really being implemented. So I don't think adding more laws is the solution that we are looking at here. The laws we have are being implemented selectively, like I've been trying to say all along, because clearly for an offense that someone is arrested, there are 10, 15 other people who have done maybe a notch above that are walking free. You talk about corruption, you talk about embezzlement, and you can have numerous cases from a single Google search of people who have been arrested and people who are walking free. So you ask yourself that, what is the special thing about certain groups that make them immune to arrests and all of that? And then sometimes on activist front, as Vanessa was saying, you kind of self-censor yourself, because you are looking at, okay, this person is arrested, this person is not arrested. How am I sure that if we go and see the things, am I part of the group that will be free or part of the group that will be picked up? So sometimes you censor yourself. Like you write a message and you sit down and think about it. Maybe I should take out the name. Maybe I should not be so direct. Maybe I should be vague. And then it kind of weakens the potency of your message. So what you wanted to say directly has now been a watered down version, because you are trying to be afraid for your safety. And as Vanessa said, people can do a lot of things. And most of the times when you are picked up, that's when you realize that you really are on your own. So in order to be safe, you try to bring down your message, and it kind of stifles your activism ability as well.
Thank you, Lewis. Martins, let's come to drawing inspiration from other African countries. What lessons can Ghana draw from other African countries that have been able to successfully resist digital authoritarianism?
Okay, so the word frog leaping is quite exciting. Okay, as a country, I think we need to start with the grassroots stuff. For instance, with electricity, we can talk about electricity as a major problem in our part of the world. A lot of people are battling with the load schedule issues and other stuff. If I have an internet and I don't have a stable electricity, I don't think I'll be able to access the internet. So we need to focus on that, make sure our lights are stable, our electricity are stable. Then we come to the cost of data as well, because in most countries, they did this groundwork before they had this stable kind of thing. But I'm sure in other parts of the world, they do face network issues and all that. But when it comes to how expensive data is, I think we need to, as a country and as governments, government need to look into that. And also, I keep, emphasizing on collaborating or cooperating with other institutions for us to have affordable internet, to be able to use the internet as well. And also, there should be a major regulations on the internet too as well. Because we can't have everyone come on the internet and say whatever they want to say, even though sometimes it kind of infringes some other people's rights. It's important for us to have rules and regulations that will guide people on how to also use certain words online. And also, for instance, I heard about China do have a system whereby there are some sites that children can access. I think if things like that are being incorporated here, it will help and also make the whole space kind of more beautiful for us and also for the kid as well. Because there are certain things that children are not supposed to see or maybe to watch. So if things like that are being put in place, it will also help us as a country.
Thank you. Vanessa, how about you? What are some inspirations that we can pick from other countries that we deem or we see that they've been able to resist digital authoritarianism?
Well, it's important to know that the digital space is linked to democracy. Democracy simply means having the freedom to participate in national discourse, to speak your mind, and also to be involved in country's day-to-day affair. Now, the digital space is those rights being protected online. So, drawing inspiration from other African countries, I think there are a lot of them that Ghana can actually learn from. Sanitizing the digital space is very important. And it's also important to keep ourselves, the users, those that are using these digital platforms, it's important to keep ourselves abreast with issues where we should keep in mind that where our freedom begins, actually, it's when our freedom ends, is where someone's begin. And it's important to know the laws, the rules, regulations governing such platforms, and how best we use it to contribute to the development of our country and even beyond. He made an important point about there are laws which are not being enforced enough, so there is no need for more laws. I think the laws that we have can cater for these things, and the implementation is what matters. And it's important that whilst there are surveillance on the digital space users, it is not targeted at just certain people. So we can learn from a lot of other African countries, use it as a starting point for us here in Ghana, and we will move forward.
Right. Looking at Ghana, we can acknowledge the fact that it's not everyone or it's not every part of Ghana that there are people who do not have access to digital technology per se. How do unequal access to these technologies create a gap or promote inequality in the country? I'll direct that to Lewis.
Yes, I think this has been a conversation that has been ongoing across several social media platforms now. And obviously, as the word suggests, if there's unequal access, obviously there'll be unequal reporting, there'll be unequal justice meted out. Because obviously in communities where there's no access to even a phone, how do you get internet? And so it means that whatever happens there, whatever is the case there, whatever is the issue there, you realize that it is very difficult for it to be reported. And I think this has been exploited for the most part. If you look at a critical issue like Alan said, you realize that they are usually carried out in very remote areas where there's barely any access to internet or phones to be able to directly monitor or report some of these issues.
Yeah.
And in a few instances where some people have risked their lives to go there and try and bring a reportage, we are not new to the story of what happens to most of those people. So it means that it's a negative thing that's in the country, because obviously if there's not enough access across the country, what it means is that activists there, women there, children there, men there, who are suffering several abuses, the issues may never come to light. Because look at Accra, for example. There's almost everybody has a phone and has internet, and yet we are not getting everybody reporting their cases. So how much more an area where there's no internet to begin with? I think it's bad. But on the other side, people also exploit it, because if they know they want to do something gross or something that they don't want people to know, they go into those areas to carry out those activities. And if people are bullied there, or they know that, well, are you going to see the phone, you go and call someone and report me. By the time you report, everything has already happened so fast. So I think it's a double-edged issue that should be looked at, and access should be expanded as well. At the same time, people to also be responsible. One last point before I end off here is that for the people that get access to go to those areas to report, we should practice responsible reporting, because you see some people go to certain areas and it's like, this place is for witches, or this place is for cripples, or this place is for blind people, because they just pass an immediate judgment on the whole town, and because they are not there to defend themselves. Me, that I'm sitting in a crowd watching a video, I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
So perhaps I'm aware from there, you're from the
Witches town.
So if you are witch, so in as much as there's unequal access and some people are able to go there and report, they should be responsible in their reporting and report facts only, so that it gives at least some dignity to the people living there and doesn't make them less human.
Right. Let's come to the issues of youth and online activism. What role do you think the youth are playing in promoting, in playing a role or being activists online? Let me take that again. Let's come back to youth in Ghana and how their role in activism and also fighting for the rights of digital freedom. What role do you think the youth are playing, and how are those roles contributing to a broader human rights movement online?
I think as a youth, we are doing our best. We are advocating online, creating more awareness on digital rights, and also making people understand the importance of you understanding of the right that we are all fighting for, or you are fighting for. And with the major effects that is really creating outsiders, it's giving a lot of people education on digital rights and how they need to navigate online. You can't just get up and just access any link that you come about, because sometimes you accessing a link without reading the whole caution that it comes with can lead you into something else. Because these days a lot of people, you'll be there and you get to receive a message from an anonymous organization, and you keep asking yourself, how did I even get there?
Yeah.
Initially, personally, I didn't know about that. Every cookie that I come by, I click on it and I just follow, because I'm always in a hurry. I don't even have time to even read whatever thing is there. I'm always in a hurry to go and also access whatever I want to access. But after this whole activism, after learning, reading more about it, I've come to understand that I need to read, go through. If possible, I need to verify. I need to ask questions about it before I go through such links or other stuff. So I think we are doing really well, and we need more hands. We need a lot of people. For me, I would encourage journalists. I would encourage more young people to come on board, because I mean, we are not going to end today, and it's just about starting. So if we have a lot of young people coming on board to amplifying the voices of young people on digital rights, I think we'll go a very long way, and it will even help to even solve a lot of problems and after more serious issues early before it even happens.
Right. We are gradually coming to the end of today's episode, but I want to hear from Lewis as well, since he's a digital rights youth champion. How, still on the youth issue, what role are we playing in our fight for digital freedom, digital rights freedom, and how are we contributing to the whole activism, the broader movement online?
Thank you. I think a lot of movements across Ghana and across the African continent are testament to the fact that youth are really putting in a lot of effort to make sure that we fight for rights. Youth have started protests, started online hashtags, started tag-alongs, and all of that. There are numerous examples that exist, and I'm sure we are all witness to that. But one thing that's important is to be responsible in our activism as young members. Because sometimes I think youthful exuberance is one of the things that stifles the authenticity of our activism. Now you see a young activist that is, buzzing, very powerful, and then out of emotion responds to a troll in a particular way or insults someone. The next time someone sees your post, it's like, oh, I can't really trust you anymore, because even you that I thought that, you were, on the right path, you've shown to be that you are not really credible as such. So sometimes emotions get in and get the better, and sometimes in a rush to, get back at someone or try to call someone out, facts are not really verified. So you see that when it comes to disinformation, misinformation, it's largely on the side of the youth, because they are quick to reply. Like Martin was saying, like he wants everything fast. So they are quick to respond, quick to reply, quick to, engage. So in that speed, there's not the care taken to check whether what I'm saying is actually true, whether it is factual, whether it actually happened. And one last thing is that because young people also want everything fast, they are very susceptible to attacks. So, they don't use strong passwords, they don't have two-factor authentication on, they are not using end-to-end encrypted apps. So it's like they just want to be out there, useful exuberance. I want to be out there, I want to use my youth to fight for rights. Yes, I'm a freedom fighter. But it doesn't just end up being a freedom fighter. You have to be credible. Absolutely. You have to be trusted. And you also have to protect yourself in doing so as well. I think that's fair enough.
Thank you. Our time is almost up, so I would like to take your last words. And I'll start from Vanessa. Karen?
Oh, well, like all is said and done, it's important that we hold ourselves accountable. The things we put out there, it starts from us. And then governments, civil organizations, the youth, we are responsible for the things we put out on the digital space. Of course, internet does not forget. They say the internet does not forget. Crime does not expire. As we see old messages of people surfacing online and issues of holding people accountable, we just have to know that whatever we put out there, we are responsible for it, and we are not free from the consequences. And it's important we use the digital space wisely to educate, to entertain, and to speak for the voiceless. I mean, there are lots of people, the marginalized group, who are not able to speak for themselves. It's if you have access to the internet, to these digital platforms, it behoves on you to use it wisely for the benefits of the citizenry, the people, in fact, even to the larger part of the world. So we are responsible for the things we churn out, basically.
It is important that we hold ourselves accountable and that we are responsible for the things we put out there. Louis, let's hear from you.
Okay, I think it's been a very fruitful discussion. For my final words, I'll say, of course, activism is not for only activists or people, because no one goes to school to be an activist. Of course, people learn activists on an educational level, but everybody is an activist. Everybody can speak up for something. So I've said this somewhere before, that in a bid to fight for rights, sometimes the fighters become the marginalized rather. So, because the people are trying to fight for are more than definitely people trying to fight. So if the support is not there and everybody is shying out, everybody is trying to stay safe, then the fighters become the marginalized, and it becomes very easy for them to be attacked. So they rather become the minority, and that's the issue. So I would say that I encourage everyone to say something. There's a campaign by the government that if you see something, say something. It's a very important idea. But in as much as you see something, you say something. Make sure that whatever you're saying is true, is verifiable, and make sure that you're also safe on the internet. Make sure you are using your two-factor authentication, you have a strong password, you change your passwords regularly. You just make sure that you don't even send out too much information about your personal life on the internet, so that while trying to save the world, you don't sacrifice yourself in the process, because obviously the best activist is the one that is alive. So I think that's where I'll end my submission.
Martins, let's hear from you as well.
Okay, so for me, I'm going to call upon the government and also other donors and founders who can come on board to. We need to have a capacity building training for young people and also community-led training to be educated on human rights and also digital rights as well. And in doing this, it should be more relatable, it should be more lively. I mean, creating scenarios for people to understand, because these days people don't really like to read. So it's important that, I mean, we have more scenarios where people understand and all that. And also on the language barrier, I keep emphasizing on that. I mean, there should be a balanced language barrier so that everyone will understand and for us to know what our digital right is and also our human rights is.
Thank you all very much for those last words. This has been a very fruitful discussion. And this is where we end today's episode. Once again, this is episode 2 of season 3 of We All Dey Inside, which is powered by Amnesty International Ghana. And you can stream across our social media platforms at Amnesty International Ghana, whether on X, YouTube, Instagram, all across all our social media platforms. My name once again is Rosalinda Nakayajite. See you on our next episode.
It's always a good time to know your rights and claim them. Why? Because we all dey inside, Charlie.